Okay, welcome back. In this section, we're going to increase the challenge slightly. How do we deal with two different measurement results pointing in different directions? Can they still be valid? Well, we've already seen an example of this. I'm bringing back the toy example. The results show studies of opposite impacts. One is saying sales should go down, the other is saying that sales went up. By themselves, each can paint results of a clear picture of performance. Together, they get a little confusing until you've discovered the vital pieces of the story. The results are conflicting, both are valid, and with enough data, they even start to make a bit of sense. Just to show you how this comes about, here's a brief list of general things to look out for that can actually kind of create these misalignments of results, but doesn't invalidate either set. It's not important to memorize these. It's more the philosophy that the measurement is complex, and it's a complex part of a very complex business. So treat it as such, know that these things happen, and take it into your consideration when you're evaluating performance. Okay, so you have imperfect results, you have missing data, and your results are pointing in all different directions. How do you translate this into something that is both cohesive and useful, but also allows you to keep your integrity as an analyst and a professional within the space? That's utmost importance. So the first piece of this is to understand that your research isn't proof, and it's certainly not truth. And I thought this quote was wonderful on explaining this, but think about the results that we present. What we're typically sharing is a mean or an average of a population, which is surrounded by a known confidence interval on either side, which we typically do not share. And then we believe that there's a 90% confidence that within that confidence interval contains the true answer. It's useful. It is not truth. It is evidence. So be aware of this and treat your research as such. Each piece of evidence is a data point. Each study is a single piece of evidence. So when you're interpreting or conveying performance, do we need to share every piece of data that we came across? And so I'm going to ask a bunch of questions here. Some of these are leading, but I think it helps make the point. So when you have terribly biased results, a study that's totally invalid or contaminated, should those be legitimately considered? What about when using our hierarchy? Does a less robust piece of evidence detract from our more advanced studies? Does the data point add value when the KPI isn't something that is even relevant or interesting to the client? And does a single data point cause an unnecessary doubt against an otherwise material body of evidence? The final piece, though, and this really should be your guide, is what does the audience need to learn from you? Every analysis has pieces that are held up by weak methodology, or there's errant data points that just don't make any sense. And these can be distractions from an otherwise robust and useful analysis. This is one of those be aware of the mice, but focus on the tiger situations. Focus on what's important to the client and focus on the pieces that drive the best research. Here's a framework for actually releasing research to the press, but I actually thought it was very relevant on how we could consider releasing information to our organizations as well. And the short version is really that your audience matters a lot in the story that you're telling. So make the story relevant. Focus on their KPIs. Save the things that are neat or the novelty type findings for more casual conversations after your primary message has been delivered. And honestly, what's relevant is very much going to change based on who you're conversing with. The head of analytics and the VP of sales have very different goals and will likely react to your research differently. The last one here is a little bit tactical, but I liked it. Start small. Share results with those who have knowledge, gain perspective, perhaps receive more information to help complete your narrative overall, and then finally expand your story to your major stakeholders. All right, wrapping up this session with just some final thoughts. I wanted to summarize all of these things into some key points, but the first is you won't know everything, and you should very much temper your response to any given set of research because of that. Not all tests are valid, but conflicting results does not invalidate either set of data. Results are evidence, not truth. That one's important, so continue to say it. More rigorous measurement, more rigorous studies should be carrying more weight in your analysis than the less rigorous ones. And then final points here, client perspectives matter a lot in your analysis, so pay special attention to them. And finally, all models are wrong, but some are useful. Knowing this is both powerful as well as freeing. Use it to your advantage as you're conducting these analyses. All right, your demonstrate for this week is your final project. At this point, you should have read it more than once and have a decent understanding of the situation. So get together with your group and record it. On the Explore for this week, highly recommended reading for those who want to go a bit deeper, but Lessons on How to Lie with Statistics. It's just a fun one, so take it out, take a shot when you can. And then finally, the Reflect this week I think is interesting. So take a moment to think about these research-focused learnings, so these hierarchies of evidence and the way that we present results with integrity, and apply them to your daily life. We get conflicting data all the time in our daily lives. How much of it is wrong? Is any of it wrong? When we have an issue, how do we report it to leadership and why? How do we think about these things through this framework, and does it add value to us? All right, thanks folks. Hope everyone has a great week.